Paternity fraud is a serious, often overlooked issue in the United States that devastates men, women, and children alike. Because of a nationwide lack of effective laws concerning paternity fraud, many men are stuck paying child support for children they're not the biological fathers of, and many children are denied the opportunity to develop meaningful relationships with their biological dads. Worse still, those same children often face increased health risks because they're denied their biological heritage. The Women Against Paternity Fraud is a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating the public on the issue of paternity fraud and the devastation it creates within families, especially for children. The group works to educate the public, media, and policymakers on the need for improved paternity fraud laws. Dianna Thompson, who helped found WAPF, says it's long past time for the government to address this issue.
In the past, injustices could occur because we were simply unable to be sure about the identity of the child's father. Today, there's DNA testing, and that excuse no longer exists. We are living in a time where there is no excuse for continued injustice.
While it's difficult to estimate the number of victims of paternity fraud in the U.S., Thompson says it's very clear that the number is significant.
Well, the only significant insight into the number of paternity fraud victims comes from the American Association of Blood Banks, which year after year reports that approximately 28% of all paternity tests exclude the targeted man. But regardless of whether the number is 1 million or 100,000 or 10,000, a significant number of paternity fraud victims obviously exist and are suffering from the burdens imposed on them by false paternity establishments.
The root of the issue is that in order to maximize child support enforcement, the federal government requires states to have paternity establishment procedures and provides incentives and punishments based on their performance regarding paternity establishment. With enormous sums of federal money on the line, there's little incentive for states to ensure that paternity establishment is actually accurate.
Currently, federal policies create unintended and perverse incentives that foster paternity fraud to the great injury of children and men, as well as great cost and compliance efforts and the loss of public respect for a system that is seen as unjust by paternity fraud victims and others who believe that truth should be the basis of any laws and policies. If DNA is used to free death row inmates, we should accept it in paternity cases.
Anyone interested in learning more about paternity fraud or getting involved with the WAPF should visit the Women Against Paternity Fraud website at womenagainstpaternityfraud.org. You can also find many articles on the issue of paternity fraud on DadsDivorce.com. That'll do it for another edition of Dad's Divorce Live. I'm Sean Garrison, editor of DadsDivorce.com. We'll see you next time.